It's the nation's favourite antiques experts.
Yes, a good weight.
And it smells.
Oh, steady, behind the wheel of a classic car.
Good morning, my lady.
Good morning, Parker.
And a goal to scar Britain for antiques. Whoopsie.
Come on.
The aim to make the biggest profit at auction. But it's no mean feat. They'll be worthy winners.
And valiant losers.
Will it be the high road to glory?
It's about winning.
Or the low road to disaster? Pop, pop. This is the Antiques Road Trip. Yee-haw! Well, fancy seeing you here. We're back on the road in Scotland, and it's feeling a little brisk.
I haven't got a jumper on, which means that I might freeze my bits off
I'm
on
just
the boat.
wearing it. I mean, I've got my Mac in the car, but...
You're flashing, Mac.
Oh, yeah. Full of surprises are our experts Stephanie Connell and Philip Searle, who can always stay warm with his signature scarves.
I've got about 60 in there.
60?
Yeah. I've got one jacket, one pair of trousers, one pair of shoes, and about 60 scarves. I like stripy scarves and colourful and vibrant scarves because I think it reflects my personality.
You are. On this trip, they'll be exploring Scotland from coast to coast in a very classy 1966 Jaguar Mark II, if they can find their way round this neck of the woods.
Can you find it on the map?
That's upside down.
Didn't you used to teach geography?
Yeah, but not very well. Largs, I've got largs.
Okay.
Steph started this trip with £200 and after 3 auctions has £236 and 38 pence in her kitty. Whilst front-runner Phil set out with the same amount and has expanded his wallet to an impressive £422.60.
I want to create a lead.
You're already winning.
Well, I want to create a bigger lead.
I mean, I've got to do something pretty miraculous to catch you.
This is about global domination.
But it's not over until the fat lady sings, as they say, or at least until our pair's final auction. They began this odyssey in Steph's homeland, Cumbria, before heading into Scotland, where they've been venturing around the south of the country. Eventually, they'll head back across the border for a final auction in Darlington, County Durham. Look at that map. This time round, they've an auction to face in Dunfermline, but they've started way out west in Ayrshire. Right now, these two are slipping their anchor in Largs, site of an infamous battle between the Scots and the Vikings in the Middle Ages.
You know what? I think I've been here before.
Have you?
Well,
I don't think
so.
there's an antique shop in the UK you haven't been to.
Do you know, I reckon I've been here before.
First up is Naducci Antiques. Doesn't sound Scandinavian.
Bill's got quite a long lead now. He's way ahead. So when I'm walking around anywhere, I'm thinking strategically I'm going to have to do something pretty amazing to catch the lead up. Unless Phil has a disaster. Who knows?
Better watch out. He's on fighting form this morning and already is taking aim.
I'd like that. It's like the top half of a door or something. Franco?
Phil, how can I help?
This is just stunning, this.
That's a lovely piece, isn't it? It's for the top section of a door where to give additional light into maybe the hallway. Or
So like over a door?
Over the top of the door.
I got you. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Never without a little torch. Look at that. See that sort of cherries and stylised flowers? I want to buy that off you, Franco.
Okay.
Would £100 buy it?
It certainly would not.
Would £150 buy it?
It certainly would not. You want me to make life easier for you, Phil?
Go on, how much
I'm
is
wanting
it?
500 quid for that.
Thanks, Franco. I'm not surprised. It's a really good quality thing, that, isn't it?
It's nicely painted.
Yeah, but my friend, that is just out of my pocket.
It's a false start for Phil. What's Steph dug out?
Now this is interesting. Some sort of canoe oar. Looks like it's in oak. Now when I'm in a marine area, I like to find something that's to do with water, which obviously this is. At the minute, people like unusual things for their homes, not necessarily what you would expect furniture-wise. Always looking for quirky things, but doesn't have a price on. It would have to be about £30 for me to be interested in it, really. But I do like it. There's another one there, but I don't like that one as much. And I think they're put together, but they're not a pair because they don't match and they have a slightly different design.
One is possible. Found anything on budget yet, Phil?
That's quite a cool thing. That's a ship's binnacle.
I see a theme building here, folks.
Sits in a gimbal. I think gimbal's a great word. And basically, however choppy and stormy the seas are, the gimbal will maintain the compass always stays flat and level. Now, these things get reproduced. Doesn't look like it's an old repro.
Ticket price, £45. It's not repro, it's cheap.
I'm going to try and buy that for £20 to £40, something like that. Franco,
Phil,
I quite like that. I'm going to make you a very mean offer.
you are?
Yeah, it is mean as well.
Don't be too mean.
It's like 25, 30 quid to me.
It's not 25. Do you? I'll do it for 40 quid.
I'll shake your hand at 35 and that's me done.
Go on. We'll
You're a
have a
gentleman, thank you very much. I better pay you as well.
And with that, Captain Cyril's shipshape, yeah, with his first purchase of the day, leaving Steph in his wake. Speaking of whom?
I like that chair. So what this is a Victorian prie-dieu chair. So it's for praying. So what you would do is you would kneel down and use the back to pray. And then I guess you could also use it as a chair. Now, the reason I like it is because it's got this really nice quality Victorian rosewood frame. It's on casters. I really like the embroidery work on it. We're going to an auction in Scotland. It has this Scottish figure in the centre with a falcon, with a gun, wearing his kilt in his full Scottish regalia. Looks to me the kind of thing that would have been a Scottish country house. And I really like quality antiques that are a little bit unusual, which this is. So I think I'm going to find out how much it is, because it has no price. Let me see. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Hi, I'm Steph. Nice to meet you.
And I'm Drew.
Nice to meet you, Drew. Now, I've seen something I'm interested in, the little prie-dieu chair. It has no price on it.
I have a price for you, though.
What is the price?
Well, we're pitching it at £100.
At £100. OK. I really like it. I've also seen outside near the front door, there's an oak canoe paddle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I only want the one.
All right, we have
not
a
the pair.
Go on, Steph. Stick your oar in.
If I were to take the two items, would you be willing to take 85 for the pair?
How about if we come round to around 100?
100? All right, deal at 100 for the two.
Very good.
That's lovely. Thanks very much.
That makes it £65 for the prie-dieu chair and £35 for the single paddle. Let's just hope it doesn't send Steph round in circles at auction. In keeping with the nautical theme, Phil's come in the water to take a trip over to Millport on the Isle of Cambrai. Cambrai, in the Firth of Clyde, has been witness to a succession of invaders, but at no time in its history has it faced a greater threat than today. This day tripper is being kept in check by Scott Ferris, Vice Chair of the Isle of Cambrai Tourist Association. Well, I never did. How lovely.
I know I'm not the first foreigner to land on these shores, am I?
No. For the first millennium, I believe the Scandinavians were coming over to try and lay claim to this side of Scotland.
And so they landed just here, did they?
Yeah, they did land here. They had a fort on the island, which is where King Haakon...
King Haakon, was he a good guy or a bad guy?
He was a bad guy. He was one of the Vikings. He'd set up over there to watch the Battle of Largs.
By the time he reached these waters in 1263, King Haakon has 120 ships and up to 20,000 men at his disposal. Gosh, but a storm battered his fleet. The ensuing Battle of Largs saw no decisive victor, but it was the last time a Norwegian king mounted a military assault on Scotland. But they weren't the last visitors, oh no. An influx of smugglers in the 18th century is the very reason that Millport, the only town on the island of Cambrai, exists. Not a lot of people know that.
This is a really imposing building, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a lovely building, yeah, the Garrison House.
What, Garrison House?
Garrison House, yeah.
What was the purpose of it?
It was here built to house, essentially, a crew for a cutter boat called the Royal George. 60 people would stay here to basically look after the waters and stop any smugglers. Built here by...
So they'd be like the customs police, almost.
Yeah, it was for the excise.
Was smuggling rife?
That was very rife in those days, yes, very rife.
There must have been some belting stories.
Yeah, there was. I mean, there's one about a communion on the island It was delayed just due to the fact that the wine that was to be delivered for the communion was running late because the smugglers couldn't get in.
The next wave of invaders came in the 19th century when paddle steamers enabled city dwellers to visit the islands.
Paddle steamers would set off from Glasgow with everybody coming down for their away day, trying to cram as much in as they could. So before they even stepped onto the paddle steamers, they started drinking, and when they stepped off on the pier over there, essentially, they stepped off as the term steaming.
They were absolutely steaming.
Absolutely steaming.
I love
That's
that.
where the term
I
comes
love
from.
that. So this holiday thing, it's gone on to the present day, really.
Oh yeah, very much so. Doon the water, as
What's
it's
that
called.
mean?
Well, it's a term to say, a Scottish term basically for going down the water, doon the water. Basically coming from Glasgow or anywhere down the coast, Greenock and the such, down towards one of the islands down here. But there's so much to do here. It's from community activities right the way through to, you've got beautiful beach like we've got here, you've got cycling, fishing, cracking 18-hole golf course,
Really?
bowling club.
Now you're talking.
Right, Phil, time for skipper Angus Ferguson from the National Water Sports Centre to help you find your sea legs, you old dog.
This is so cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I feel like the 21st century King Haakon, although I won't be doing any invading. We are in a sailing vessel, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yacht?
Yep, definitely. We're in a sailing boat, so.
Right, so I think it's time that we saw a bit of sail action.
Sounds good. Do you want to brief your crew?
Oh, yeah. Go on, sort it. Go on your way. They need telling, these blokes, sometimes.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn around into the wind.
Okay, which way's that? That way?
That way, that's it. So bring around in towards the wind.
These waters have seen warriors, smugglers and revellers, and it's not difficult to see why they continue to attract the hordes, including our very own Sailor Cyril. Oh yes, look at that. Atlantic next stop. There goes the Jag, look. All aboard. Phil's not the only one taking to the water. Oh no. Steph's cruising to Rothsay on the island of Bute, another fine Victorian seaside resort. What a beaut.
It's absolutely beautiful. I've never been to the Scottish Islands before. We've got the Isle of Bute just ahead of us and I can see Arran off in the distance. It's such a nice day as well.
If you see Philip in a life jacket, do swing by and pick him up, won't you? Right, back on dry land and back to business. She's headed to West Bay Homes and Antiques Emporium. It'll have to be a big shop to fit that on the shop front.
This is a great shop and there's loads of things everywhere, lots of which I could buy. He's got fabulous pieces, especially clocks. Now that's nice. So what have we got here? We have an arts and crafts, brass, wall light basically, like a wall sconce with 2 candlesticks on to light your room. And then this would, I guess, reflect the light back off it.
Exactly right, that's how you double the candle. Most homes were lit with things like these in the old days. Chances are that it may date from about 1900. What's the ticket price?
Price on it, let's have a look, is 75.
Gosh.
If it could be more like 50, then I think there's potentially a profit in that. I think it's really, really nice. Yeah, that's definitely one to consider.
So, the heart-shaped sconce is giving Steph palpitations. Anything else?
Now this is interesting. So what this is, straight away I know by the box what it is because of the shape of the box and the German label to the lid, that it's kind of an architect's building set that could either be used for children or adults, where you could build different structures from blocks. Really, really nice. It's ticketed at £75, which is very strongly priced for a building block set like this.
Best get ready for some home haggling then. Any other contenders?
Oh, I quite like that coffee pot. Coffee, it's no lost when a friend gets. It's interesting. That's Neville. Neville?
Yeah.
He prefers Nev, you know.
Ah, the Cumnock pot.
Is that what it is? A Cumnock
yeah, it's
pot?
Cumnock pottery.
Okay.
Yeah, it's earthenware.
Yep.
It started in about 1792.
It's a shame about the little bit of damage, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. But it was that sort of thing, easily damaged as earthenware often is.
Yeah. There are 3 things that I like,
Okay.
coffee pot included, that I'd like to talk to you about price.
Okay.
The first thing is the Arts and Crafts brass
Yes.
wall light.
Yeah, it's
Now,
very nice.
It is nice.
Yeah.
It's £75. What is your best price on it?
Let's say I could do it for 40.
40?
Yeah.
Deal for that item.
Okay,
£40, that's a
brilliant.
deal.
Okay.
Now, the next one is, I guess, the architect's blocks. It's going to be between these two. So
Right.
how much could that be?
I could do 55 on that.
I might park that then, because although I think it's
Okay.
really nice, it's
Yeah.
probably a little
Okay.
bit strong for me.
Right, okay.
Finally then, the coffee pot. How much could the coffee pot be? It's
Now, what's the
priced at-
price on the coffee
It's
pot?
55 at the present
55.
time.
I'd say 30.
So that's
That's 70
70
pounds.
altogether.
Yeah, that's fine,
great.
yeah.
Job's done. And what a productive day for Steph. Adding the £30 Cumnock coffee pot and £40 sconce to this morning's 2 purchases, she's left with only £66 for tomorrow. Now she's got to find Phil in his May West.
You know, I love my cars. If you were a car, what sort of car do you think you would be?
I'd like to think that I'd be like an Aston Martin, but I think I'd probably be more like an old Ford Cortina.
No, I think you'd be a Rolls or a Bentley. I think I'd be a knackered out old Ford Popular.
No, you wouldn't.
Bonnet up, parked on the side of the road, with the AA man looking at the undercarriage.
Dear, oh dear, doesn't bear thinking about. Anyway, nighty-night, folks, no nightmares. Whew, the sun's risen in Renfrewshire, and this show's already on the road.
What's with the glove things? How many pairs of gloves have you got?
Not millions,
But enough.
but enough.
Yeah.
Not as many as the Queen.
Well, it's like driving the Queen around, actually.
And Steph had a right royal shopping spree yesterday, oh yes, racking up 4 purchases. A prie-dieu chair, an oak paddle, a wall sconce, and the Cumnock coffee pot.
Always looking for quirky things.
That means she's got a not-so-princely sum of £66 left to spend.
You right, Mum?
I'm very well, thank you.
You could call me Philip.
Philip.
Philip only bought 1 item yesterday, the ship's binnacle.
That's quite a cool thing.
He's still got a gargantuan £387.
What I'd like you to do is just sit there and go like this.
Like that.
That's the one. Yep.
Having dropped off his precious cargo, Philip's first shop today is in Paisley, home to Glasgow Salvage. Not so swift. Phil should be in his element here, as the name suggests. This shop specialises in architectural salvage. Time for a route round.
You see, I like that. Now, my daughter gives me stick because she thinks everything I look at I'd try and turn into a table. But I think that would make a wicked coffee table because you've got a kind of industrial look base there. Lord knows what it was originally used for. But if you've got a massive piece of slate or a piece of polished steel on the top of that, I think you've got a wicked looking coffee table. How cool is that? My daughter thinks I need help.
She might not be alone. Do you know, that one could be a little bit too much for some buyers, so keep ferreting, Phil.
Now, I quite like that. In the late Victorian Edwardian era, you would have a glass pane or panel in the door, and there'd be 2 ways of kind of decorating it, really. You can either have leaded lights in there, like these 2 panels here, or you could paint it. Now, the leaded lights, all these different colours would be divided by a piece of lead, and then they would actually have different coloured glass in each section, whereas this is a pane of glass that has, in fact, just been painted. But I think what's unusual is that, well, that it's intact, but none of the paint has been scraped off.
That's because it's not painted, it's fired on.
I really like that. I don't know how much it is.
Nothing here is priced, so Phil's negotiation skills will be put to the test later, but there's still more to explore.
What on earth is that?
Brown.
You see, you kind of have to just think a little bit outside the box because
Everybody will tell you that brown furniture, no one wants it anymore. And I don't actually know what this is. It looks like it's possibly a desk that's had the legs cut off it or something, but this is a piece of mahogany. It's probably mid-19th century. This is quite a nice colour, but there's hinges here. So whether these open here. So there are slide-out trays here. Quite what those are for, I don't know. It's almost like you put plans or maps in there. Scott? Hi. Oh, hello. I've been trying to work out what on earth these are, and it strikes me they're mahogany.
Yeah.
Mid-19th century.
Sounds right.
And they kind of look... I've been wondering whether they've come out of an architect's office, and this is for plans or something.
They actually came from a local museum, and they held some rather expensive books. So I'm sure you've heard of Audubon's Birds of America?
Rather expensive. You're the master of understatement,
yeah.
Aren't you?
Birds of America by James Audubon is a rare series of ornithological coloured prints in elephant folios of North American birds. It's one of the most expensive books in the world. A copy sold for the equivalent of £7 million in 2013.
If the books were in there now, I think I'd probably offer you somewhere between £2 and £4 million for them.
I think you'd fall a bit short there, Phil.
You've got a glass painted panel around the corner there, and I wouldn't mind trying to put the two together.
OK.
If I were to bid you 90 quid for the two, what would you say?
It's a wee bit low, but it's here for sale.
I think I can probably do 120.
120.
Shake me hand and...
120.
Yeah.
Since you appreciate it...
Really?
120.
What a generous man Scott is. Phil's paying out £30 for the glass panel and £90 for the mahogany cabinet. Sadly, without his Birds of America retirement fund inside. Careful now. I'd get a van for the cabinet. Steph's starting her day a wee jaunt away in Kilbarchan. The village was once at the heart of Scotland's thriving textile industry. The weavers here produced some of Scotland's finest tartan. Cottage Museum curator James Wallace picks up the story.
Wow, what a beautiful garden.
It's the original size.
Really?
Yep. The weavers' cottages in Kilbarchan have all got large gardens. Lots went on out here. They grew plants for food, they grew herbs, they grew dye plants, and they could use the space for bleaching linen.
Kilbarchan's first cottage industry was the production of linen, made from the flax plant. It was used for clothing, but the 17th century saw a boom in demand when an Act of Parliament dictated that the deceased must be buried in Scottish linen.
The climate in Renfrewshire is quite damp, so it's really good for working flax. The seeds would be planted in April, that's linseed, and the plant would be allowed to bloom and then be harvested about August time. It would then have to be soaked in water to rot off the outer coating, bashed with a wooden mallet, and then combed to take out the non-fibrous material and leave the fibres behind. That would then be spun into linen thread and then woven into cloth.
The cottage's gardens allowed plants to be grown to produce natural dyes.
What colours could they have dyed the fabrics?
Quite a variety of colours from plants in the garden. I've got a selection here, all dyed naturally.
Wow. Now this blue one, that's really nice. What's that
That's from wood.
It's almost like a tie-dye.
Yeah.
They feel lovely as well. And the purple one, the
That's
sort of
logwood.
They're really pretty, aren't they? They're such nice colours.
By the end of the 18th century, the linen industry had largely died out, but Kilbarchan's story wasn't over. The weavers were about to receive a boost from an unlikely hero, writer Sir Walter Scott. In 1822, he stage-managed the first visit of a reigning monarch to Scotland in 150 years. King George IV came to Edinburgh wearing a kilt paired with pink tights, and tartan became de rigueur. He loved dressing up.
After King George's visit, it took off. Everybody wanted tartan, and it became a really big business in Kilbarchan. At that point, 1840, we had 800 handlooms in the parish.
Would life here have been as idyllic as it looks?
I'm afraid not. No, it was a hard life. At the height of the industry, 3 families shared the cottage and the work, so they would have a bedroom each. for the whole family. So it had been very crowded. They had to work long hours. It was quite physically demanding as well. And the whole family had to get involved. And they all had to sleep and eat and work in the place. But when the market was good, they were earning decent money. They were quite well off for working class people, much better than working in a factory.
Despite the challenges of the lifestyle, the ability to choose their own hours and work in a home environment appealed to many of the weavers. They also found the time to educate themselves on matters of the day.
They were intelligent people and very cultured. They enjoyed reading. They worked together. They formed friendly societies, produced the first running water in the village, and looked after people who couldn't afford to be buried. They would provide coffins, things like that. They were quite radical in their political views as well. They didn't take any nonsense from the laird or anybody else.
Unlike in other parts of Renfrewshire, a mill to mechanise the process was never built in Kilbarchan, so weaving remained a cottage industry here until the last century.
This is our old loom. It's 250 years old. As you can see, it's set up to weave tartan. There are 840 threads on this warp. Each thread would have to pass through one of these shafts. And each one of the shafts got hundreds of heddles, as they're known. It's like the eye of a needle in the middle there. Would you like to try some weaving? This is all set up, ready to go.
I would love to.
Right, we'll have a seat.
OK, do I sit in the middle?
Yes. So you're going to press down pedal number 1 right to the ground and then pass the shuttle through here.
And here?
Yeah.
In between the two?
Yeah. And just pull the thread through. And then pull this towards you, nice and hard. Right, now you're going to press down pedal number 2 and pass the shuttle through this way. Each time you press a foot pedal, a different combination of shafts go up and down. And you can see what we're building up as a nice diagonal stripe in the cloth. That's known as a twill weave. The handloom weavers were able to produce very high quality cloth. But because the young people in the early 20th century were finding work outside the village, they were no longer picking up the trade, and so it died out in the 1950s when the last of the weavers retired.
It's such a fascinating and interesting history. Thank you very much.
It's been a real pleasure. And looking at this, it's definitely a 9 or 10 out of 10, so you can get a job here anytime.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you very much.
Whilst Steph ponders her new job offer, Phil's sticking to what he knows best and heading 20 minutes northeast to Clydebank.
So I've got roughly £270 or thereabouts left. What am I going to buy? Do you know what? I've got no idea. No idea. You can only ever react to what you see in front of you. But one of Paul Laidlaw's cameras would be really nice.
Wouldn't it just, eh? Well, his final shop is a haven for all things vintage and retro, so you never know. It's Keen on Antiques, where Phil's got just shy of £270 left to spend.
God, that's heavy. So this is an old metal trunk, probably late 19th century. But if you look at this label here, it's made by a company called Josiah Cummings and Sons from Boston, Massachusetts. So my imagination then starts to run right, you know. Perhaps Billy the Kid had this, or perhaps this was on the back of a Wells Fargo stagecoach, all that sort of stuff. Because when you're buying this stuff, you're buying a huge chunk of history as well.
And he's considering it, but there's more to be unearthed here.
That is obviously George Bernard Shaw. And I mean, I know that caricature is him because George Bernard Shaw was very involved with the Malvern theatres where I come from. And this is drawn by a man called Coyer. In 1984, and Emilio Coyer was a Scottish artist who died in, I don't know, late 1990s. And his work can make anywhere from like £10 to £1,000, and there's no rhyme or reason as to what makes £10 and what makes £1,000. But that could be quite interesting. There's a little bit of marking to the paper. Just around here, look, there's a stain there, there's a stain there. But it's all down to price, but we'll see.
Like the trunk, the Coyer sketch doesn't have a ticket price. Time to talk to the man in charge.
Right, this man here, let's plonk him down there. Emilio Coyer.
Yep.
I quite like that. The other thing I like is your trunk. I'd like to know what your best is on that.
What your best is on the trunk, and if I buy the two, what the best is.
Right.
Okay.
Well, my best on the Koya would be 20.
Fine.
And the trunk would be 70.
And the two?
80.
I'll definitely have that.
No probs.
And I'll think what else I'm going to see.
You do that. Now, has Steph finished weaving me a scarf yet? Indeed she has. She's headed 10 miles alongside the River Clyde to Glasgow. Steph's final shot at Shopping Glory is at Emporium, owned by Hugh and Mary.
Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you. I'm Hugh.
Nice to meet you,
Nice
Hugh.
to meet you, Steph.
Nice to meet you, Mary. There's things everywhere. This is going to be a treasure hunt, I think.
Look, has our Cumbria girl found something close to home?
Now, I've been going on about arts and crafts a lot this road trip, and I really like this tray. So they have attributed it to Keswick School of Industrial Art.
That's the one.
Keswick School of Industrial Art was formed in the late 19th century in the Lake District by Canon Hardwick Rawnsley, who is famous because he was one of the initial founders of the National Trust. It's typical to find their work in copper, often with folate decoration, leaves, things inspired by nature, very much what the arts and crafts is all about, getting back to craft, people being able to make things themselves and with natural materials. Unfortunately, it's just short of £200, so it's going to be too much for my budget, but I really like it, and had I had more money, I might have considered it.
Well, I'm so glad you didn't, because I'd never buy any of that stuff unless it's stamped.
In an antique shop like this, you've always got to have a good hunt. What have we got down here? That's nice. That is nice. So it's a mirror in brass, but this is going arts and crafts, almost going into Art Deco. So it could be kind of Glasgow school because it's very geometric. Has no price. Potential buy, that is.
Well, I hope you do. While you mull it over, let's catch up with Phil back in Clydebank.
These are quite interesting. I mean, they're just decorative. They're not wildly valuable Eastern carpets, but the crucial thing is whether they got holes in them or not. So I think I wouldn't mind taking these outside.
Take your time, Phil, eh? We're almost at the final whistle. Any progress, Steph? And she's, cleaning. Hey, don't give it a spit and polish before you make an offer, Steph. That'd be silly.
The mirror, how much is that one?
So that mirror just came in, wasn't cleaned.
It is now.
The price on it, if it was cleaned and in good condition, would be 75.
Told you so.
For you, it could be £50.
Do you know what? I'm going to take the mirror because I really do like it. Is that OK? I'm going to take it for 50.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thanks very much.
Well, there you go then. £50 paid for the mirror and Steph's all shopped out. What of Philip and the magic carpets? Well, he hasn't floated away yet.
Well, thankfully, they're not holy. They've got their borders and they're OK, so time to go and see Ryan. Ryan.
Hello.
Good man. I quite like those three little rugs. Just hit me with your rock bottom price.
30.
30.
For the 3 rugs.
And 20 for that?
And 20 for that.
I'm going to shake your hand, my friend.
50.
There we go, £50. Deal done.
So, there you have it. Mr. Serrell's final purchases for this penultimate leg, the Koya sketch of George Bernard Shaw and the 3 Eastern rugs. It's about time our 2 experts caught up, don't you think?
You know me, down there with the kids.
Yeah.
No, down with the kids. Down with the kids.
Down with the
that's it,
kids.
Yeah. In it.
Yeah.
In it.
All teenagers across the nation can cringe.
People say fam now.
What? Fam.
Fam. It means like family. People say fam. That's the thing to say.
So if I go in there and say, oh man, that's really in it, fam.
Yeah.
Will I be down with the kids?
Maybe, yeah.
Well, maybe not. The education of Philip Serrell will have to continue another day. It's time for some shut-eye, innit? Morning has broken in Fife, and our trippers have reached the old grey town of Dunfermline. Phil should feel right at home here. Our pair started out in Largs on the west coast of Scotland. After setting sail across the Firth of Clyde, they wended their way back across the country. It's here they're facing their penultimate auction at Bowler and Binney. Great name.
I am really looking forward to this.
Me too. I think it's going to be really good.
It's going to be a good sale.
Well, it's just about time to find out, but first a rundown of our experts' exploits. Steph's strategy was to speculate to accumulate. She spent nearly all her money, £220 on 5 lots, including the Cumnock coffee pot.
Steph has bought a sticker rock. Well, not literally a sticker rock, but these wares, probably dating from the mid-20th century, they were a memento of either where you went on holiday, so Torquay ware is very, very similar to this. I just think they're fun things. And I don't know what Steph has paid for this item either, but I think they're undervalued.
Phil, on the other hand, kept a tight hold on his purse strings, spending £205, less than half his stash, also on 5 lots.
Phil's bought this Art Nouveau window. It is absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous detail, floral and leaf motif. It's perfect, and it was £30, which is a bargain.
Well, they're both in a magnanimous mood. Does our man at the helm, auctioneer William Binney, agree?
The Prideaux chair, it's unique, will appeal to a lot of people. I love the turn supports, the barrel turn supports going down the sides, and I feel it will do well on the internet. The ship's binnacle, a lot of people collect this sort of memorabilia. A lot of the military collectors, that'll appeal to them as well, and it should do fantastic today as well.
It's all happening here with bids in the room, on the web and on the blower.
I've got you a present.
What have you done?
A scarf.
Goodness me. I'm going to have to wear this, aren't I?
Number 6, and then carry.
Well, you don't have to.
Nice one, this.
2 scarves is good, it suits you.
They call, I'm known it by as 2 scarf Cyril.
Kicking things off is Steph's first lot. Will it reflect a profit?
Real nice piece this. I can go straight in here, £40 bid here at 40, at 40 bid here at 40, at 40 bid, 45, 50, one more will take it, 55 with you at 55, in the room here at 55, it's still
cheap.
55, 60 now with the internet here at 60, it's on the internet there at 60, on the second internet, are we all finished?
Still cheap at 60.
60.
That's cheap, especially after Steph's spit and polish.
It isn't dear, is it?
No, it's cheap at 60, but it's a profit.
Yeah.
It's a profit.
Phil's starting with the Coyer sketch of George Bernard Shaw.
Nice lot this, and I can start here, 26 bid here at 26, at 26 bid I have it, 26 bid on the book here with me at 26. Any advances with me, 28 at 30, one more will take it, it's 30 bid I have at 30, it's with me at 30, are you going? It's 30 bid I have, are we all finished and selling at £30?
Phil's first lot bags him a profit.
£30, there you go.
That's kind of just bang on.
Now it's Steph's Cumnock coffee pot.
12 bid I have at 12 on the first internet, there at 12. 14 now at 14 at 14 on the second internet, there at 14. We're slowly
Going on the internet this time. That might be it though. 16
now at 16, at 16 bid I have at 16. 18 now at 18, at 18 bid here at 18. Now at 20, at 20 bid here at 20. Still on the second internet, there at 20. At 20 bid I have at 20. Oh, 22 now, fresh bid in the room here at 22. You coming back internet, is in the room here at 22. The hammer is up and selling at £22.
Oh dear.
Although it's a loss, I'm happy with that, to be honest. It could have been worse.
Moving on. We're not too far from the coast. Anyone for a ship's binnacle?
£60 for it. Come on, folks. That's 60 bid I have it. 60 on the internet. There at
Well
60,
done, you.
60 bid. It's on the internet. 65.
I'm flabbergasted.
At 65, 70, 75, 75 bid here at 75.
Wow.
In the room here at 75. We all finished and selling at 75.
Plenty of seafarers in Dunfermline then. Well done, Phil.
There's no justice, is there, in this world?
Now Steph's oceanic offering.
Solid oak there, it's 30 bid, 35, 40, 40 bid here at 40, 45, 50, 50 bid here at 50.
Go on, get in.
55, at 55 bid, on the phone now at 55.
55's all right,
bid, it's
quite
on the
happy
phone
with
now at
that.
55.
It's more than I thought
We all
it would
finished, the hammer is up and selling at 55.
That's really, really awesome.
I'm really pleased with that.
Should have bought the other one.
I should have bought the other one.
We're back on dry land with Phil's 3 Eastern rugs.
On the phone at 40, any advances, it's 40 bid, on the phone at 40. Only bid there at 40, any advances, and selling at £40.
45 online.
I prefer to each.
45 online.
50 now on the phone at 50.
That's a good profit for you.
The hammer is up and selling at £50.
Not bad, but they could have done with a dry clean first.
I think that's all right, but it shows how cheap rugs are at auction. You can pick up really nice ones for not very much.
Will Steph need to pray for a miracle with her next lot?
£50 bid here at 50, at 50 bid I have at 50, on the book here with me at 50, 55, 60, one more will take it, at 65 in the room at 65, at 65 bid, in the room here at 65, with you sir at 65, 70 now, at 70 bid I have, you coming, 75, 75 bid here at 75, bid here at 75, with you sir at 75, the hammer is up and selling at 75.
Well, it didn't bring her to her knees.
I mean, I can remember the days and those things were £250, £300. It just shows how old I really am, doesn't it? In fact, I might be as old as that chair.
I'm saying nothing. Phil's mahogany cabinet is next.
Real nice piece there, and I can start here, 120 bid there at 120, at 120 bid here at 120, 130, 140. At 150 bid, on the phone at 150 bid there at 150. It's on the phone at 150. Any advances? The hammer is up and selling at 150.
It's a good profit.
Whoever owns that is really lucky. It's great.
It's Steph's final lot now, the sconce.
Real nice piece this, and I can start here, 30 bid here at 30. At 30 bid I have at 30. At 30 bid. Any advances? 35, 40. At 45, 50. 55, 55, 60, 65, 65, 70, 70 bid here at 75. Come on, it's worth more than that. 75 bid to 80, thank you, at 80.
It's really cheap.
It's really cheap.
Hammer is up and selling at 80.
She's left her best till last.
I thought they'd make £200.
Disappointed, yeah.
Tut tut, there's no pleasing some people. Still, Phil is running away with it. What can his final lot, the stained glass panel, do?
And I can start here, 100 bid there at 100.
There you go, straight off the bat, £100, boom.
110 at 120 bid here at 120, one more will take it. At 130 bid there at the back of the room there at 130 bid there at 130.
I'm surprised.
At the back of the room at 130.
You're surprised? I'm not, it's beautiful.
Stained glass there at 130 bid there at 130. We all finished, the hammer is up and selling at 130.
The salvage man struck gold once again.
Enjoyed your company.
Well, I've enjoyed Scotland and your company.
It's been jolly good, hasn't it? Are you going to make a move?
Yeah.
Let's see what it all adds up to. Steph began this trip with just over £236. After auction costs are taken into account, she's made a profit today of nearly £20. She leaves Scotland with around £255. Phil started with a healthy £422 and change, and today, after costs, he's increased his kitty by just over £150, leaving him with nearly £575 for the final leg. That is amazing.
Back to England.
Absolutely. Well, it might not be raining there. Hopefully a bit of dry weather.
Well, you never know.
Next time on Antiques Road Trip, it's Steph and Phil's last voyage.
Don't, I'll cry.
Phil thinks he's got it in the bag.
It'd be nice to try and go out in a blaze of glory, wouldn't it?
I am now looking for a miracle.
But he might just be taken by surprise.
I could absolutely crash and burn.